What's up, everybody? Tim Anderson here, aka Renfail, sometimes known as the Bearded Dwarven Princess. And today I'm going to be diving into a video all about my first 6 months of being monetized on this platform and my first 2 months being a full time streamer. I'm recording this on the 2nd of August 2022. I got monetized in February, finishing up July. That was my 6th month, and I've been talking about and alluding to me doing this video. It's probably going to be a little longer, so if you're someone who is new to the channel and you came here just because of the thumbnail, um, welcome. Don't forget to check out everything else I do here on YouTube because I do a lot of different stuff. This is not what I typically do. I don't usually do analytics stuff. I mostly do like Star Wars, Star Trek, Tolkien, Middle Earth, Rings of Power rants, and lots of RPGs and MMORPGs, and Warcraft and EverQuest and so on and so forth. Um, but I did want to take people along for the journey because we've had a lot of really cool supporters over the past few months, and I wanted to dive into and share my insights into how I've been able to go full time within a couple of months and my sort of journey into this. Now, there's a few caveats to this tale. First of which is the fact that this isn't the first YouTube channel I've built up. It's the first time I've done one for myself personally. My day job for many years has been in the marketing field, and I have helped other companies and other brands build up YouTube channels along the way. But this is the first time I've started doing one for me. For a long time, I'd say about 3 years, this channel existed simply as a place where I would put old school RPGs like King's Quest, Quest for Glory, Betrayal at Krondor, Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, stuff like that. And then sometime around the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, I started to actually focus on creating more content regularly, and then really started hammering it on in early 2022 for a variety of reasons we'll get into as we go throughout this video. So caveat number one is this isn't the first time I've built up a YouTube channel, so I do have a little bit of sort of foreknowledge into what needed to happen to make certain things go. So once decided to make the switch from this being my hobby channel to being a business venture, then it was a little bit easier than it might have been had I been going into this from scratch. The other caveat is that I don't have the financial obligations that many people in the world have. I would say most people, when they're looking at, if they're from the developed world, let's say the United States, Canada as an example, um, the cost of living is so high that many people can't go full time on YouTube until they're making thousands of dollars a month. I am in a unique position in that Chris and I paid cash for our home, so we don't have a mortgage and we don't have really any bills. So we only need several $100s per month to survive as opposed to thousands of dollars per month required, which makes it a little bit easier for us to get by than it would for some people. So that's the second caveat because my numbers are going to be a lot different than a lot of other people's numbers. That being said, hopefully this will give you some insight into what it takes to go full time, what it took me to go full time. We're going to talk about the algorithm, we're going to talk numbers, we're going to talk transactions, we're going to talk advertising, we're going to talk traffic algorithm, a whole bunch of other stuff. I am by no means an expert. There are many YouTube channels out there that focus on this full time. This is simply my journey, part of what I've been sharing along the way, and I wanted to give you all some insight. Worth noting is that I previously did a 54-minute version of this and then remembered that I had forgotten to mention a couple of things in the video and was like, oh crap, so I'm redoing it for this version. So we'll see how long this one goes, if I step out some stuff or not. Anyway, let's dive into the actual stuff. Now, I'm not going to be doing any cutting or anything like that, so you're getting the raw, uncut version. We're going to dive right into the analytics page here tonight. So, right away, we're in the green across the board, which is really good, but a lot of this is just because um, throughout the months of June and July, I have been really ramping up production because I moved into full-time status from previous months. And I've just been continuing to push harder and harder and harder, doing some 12-hour streams in the mix as well. And all of that has resulted in kind of green across the board because we've got more views than normal because we're pushing a lot of new content. We've got more watch times because we're pushing more content, more subscribers. Not a lot more. I average about 300 subscribers a month, so we're not really over that by a whole lot. Revenue is up 77%, which is a good place to be. But that's also over a 28-day period, which is a little, that's not exactly true because we're not going to be talking about the 28-day period so much, but rather the monthly stuff for June, July, and August. Let me go ahead and move this over because we're going to go into not June, July, and August, sorry, but the months previous. So the first thing I want to go over to, we want to talk numbers. You guys want to hear about revenue. Revenue is the big thing that everyone wants to hear about, and we are going to dive into that. Now, this one only gives me the last 6 months. It's counting August as a month, even though August has just started, so it's not showing you the February. So we're going to dive in here real quick and show you the month of February, which is when I got monetized for the first time. Now, it's worth noting that I didn't get monetized until the middle of February. We can, it's really not important when I got monetized so much as the fact that we just got to look at some numbers right now. So, off the first bat, in the month of February when I got monetized, what got me going was I was already on track to hit monetization within a few months, but the 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 plan that we had was we had been making, and I say we being Chris and I, um, the focus had been on doing gaming videos, gaming content, mostly on the RPGs and things of that nature. So I was doing lots of old school RPGs, and it was mostly a hobby stuff. Then in 2021, we started to do a lot of the game dev stuff that we're working on with Believe in the Void, which at the time we were calling Project Drammond, and we were documenting everything here on my personal YouTube for quite a while, about I think about 6 or 8 months until we branded everything and moved it all over to its own YouTube channel. But as a result, I started to publish 3 times a week, just related to that project, on top of doing 1 or 2 times a week related to video games. Mostly it was old school RPGs as well as reviews in a series called Is It Worth It? And then eventually I started working my way up to doing book reviews, and also I had a series called, which I haven't done in a while, but I have a series that's called my favorite science fiction TV series, best science fiction TV series. Also, the Lord of the Rings Online cooking show, doing Lotro cooking in real life episodes, taking recipes from Lord of the Rings Online. So kind of filling in that nerd niche of MMORPGs, video games, game reviews, shows and books reviews and things of that nature. And those videos were doing, okay, slowly building up, but not, again, hobby status. Those videos were getting mostly, 75 to 100 views on a good video, and then occasionally I would have one that would get 500 or 600 videos, and then once in a great while I would have a video that would go kind of viral, which for me is a lot different than for other people. But I would get one that would get 2 or 3 thousand views, and then I would get some that would do 6 or 8 thousand, and then once in a while I would get one that would jump up and do 10 or 15 thousand views. When I got to and by the way, the growth had been very slow and steady up until the point where we were in January of 2022, and we were averaging about 30, 40 new viewers per month, new subscribers, I should say. So very slow growth. And again, I wasn't focused on really making this my gig, so to speak. Then in January of 2022, I um, lost a contract that I'd had. Through an unfortunate series of circumstances that were out of my control, investors came in, bought the company out. They decided they no longer wanted an old white dude being a marketing manager. They wanted a young, younger individual, half my age and of the opposite demographic. So I got retired. And I kind of made the decision, well, I'm just going to focus on YouTube then because, I don't want to have to go out and look for work again because I'm old and I don't care anymore. Um, and so I decided to start putting more time into YouTube around the end of January of 2022, beginning of February 2022. And so I started casting about looking for hot topics, which is something I had never done before. I had previously only ever focused on the things that I wanted to talk about, which were old school video games and things of that nature. Well, I stumbled upon the Rings of Power, which I was already interested in because it was going to be a new show, and I'm a huge Tolkien fan and everything else. But with the Super Bowl coming up, they were starting to ramp up publicity, and so immediately latched onto that as a hot topic, and I managed to get right in there with the first wave of people who were making content around the Super Bowl trailer and the Vanity Fair pieces as they came out, and those pieces immediately went viral, and those rocketed me up. We can look at the numbers here in a little bit for followers, but that rocketed my channel up from getting 30 to 40 a month into getting like 1,000 followers in a few weeks. And then I've since maintained 300-ish, a little over 300 per month since then, riding that wave of traffic. Now, you'll notice that that first month of February, when I got monetized, those videos had gone viral. One of them did like 50,000, and I have like a 35,000, a 20,000. There was quite a few videos in there that did a lot of views. And as a result, I made several $100s in revenue, $349 to be exact. But then you'll notice that in March and April, we have a dramatic drop. And the reason for that dramatic drop, for those of you who are new here, is because we moved. We had purchased this property in October of 2021, and then when we realized that the contract wasn't going to continue in January, we said, you know what, screw it, let's just move to the place that we bought, which was about 6 months ahead of schedule. And so we had to move in March. And so from March 15th until April 15th, basically we were moving, had no internet, had no electrical, had no air conditioning, and basically we were out of the water. Now, I did pre record several videos before we had that transition, but I was offline for about 3 weeks. And during that time, I had pre-recorded videos that were coming out a few times per week, but they weren't Rings of Power video, which means I wasn't getting the viral traffic that I was before. And as a result, when you're not covering hot topics and you're just covering stuff that might be SEO friendly, you're not going to get the same amount of traffic as you would if you were covering things that are hot topics. So anyway, that's why you see the dip there that we went down. And then in May, we start to come back up again. And that's because by the time we got into May, by the end of April, I finally had my internet installed. And then getting into May, I was able to get back into regular video production and somewhat regular streaming, but I still hadn't made the transition into full-time streaming until June. And that's because we went from the city and having fiber optic to moving to the countryside and having cable internet, which I haven't had in years. And our ISP immediately tried to throttle me. Once I was about 2 weeks into streaming in May, they started shutting off my internet every night at 7:30 p.m. and we had to have a big shakedown with them, threaten them at corporate level, and we finally got them to lift the cap. Thankfully, it's been 2 months with no cap now. It's been very, very good through June and July. The only time we have outages is when there's a storm or something, which is just because we live in the boonies. So you'll start to see that that rose back up again in May. And then by June, we got up into pretty good territory. And then into July, even better numbers. And we're hoping that August is an even better month. But these numbers represent a variety of things. February, March, and April were purely advertising. So if you've never done the advertising, if you've never had a channel get monetized before on YouTube, when you first get monetized, you don't get access to all of the monetization tools right away. The first thing they give you is the advertising revenue. That's the first one you get. Then after that, they'll give you memberships, and then you get the option to do super thanks. Then you get the option to do stickers and super chats and so on and so forth. And they ramp you up over time with all of the monetization options as long as you're hitting certain numbers. So I didn't get membership until basically the end of April, beginning of May. I unlocked memberships, and from there I was able to unlock by mid-May. I think I got stickers and super chats, and then got into the super thanks and then the ability for people to gift memberships. And so the revenue that you see, the big jump that you see in June and July, is because in June and July I went full time streaming. And the moment I went full time streaming, I started getting a lot of transaction revenue from people doing super chats and stickers on the live streams, which has contributed to a huge chunk of growth on this channel. And it's one of the reasons why I am now full time streaming on YouTube. And by full time, I mean I stream 8 hours a day. I do a 4 hour session every morning. I do a 4 hour session every night. I don't do it 8 hours all at once. I do break it up because I also work on this for about 4 hours a day, which is the game dev stuff, the Weave in the Void. But I do stream pretty much every morning from around 8 a.m. until it's really like 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. or 8 a.m. to noon, somewhere in there, Central Time. And then at nights, I come in and do from like 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., somewhere in there. And occasionally I'll do streams. I've done a couple of 12-hour streams in there just to try them out, and they've done very well monetarily wise. Anyway, so these are the gross numbers when you combine, I shouldn't say gross, these are the net numbers after YouTube has taken their cut, and this combines advertising revenue along with um, the transaction revenue, which is counted from super chats and stickers and super thanks and memberships and all that kind of stuff, which we will be diving into in this video in greater detail. So if we close this down, that's kind of going into the raw numbers for those months, which obviously here we see a snapshot of things going up. Now, right now we're looking at the last 28 days, but let's just look at the month of July real quick so we can see this in perspective. So the month of July, um, we did $617 in transaction and $163 in ad revenue, and then about $20 from YouTube premium revenue. And there's some more stuff in there. It's looking at the bottom too. You can see even a further breakdown and showing that as far as transaction goes, we made $527 from super chats, $50 from memberships, $20 from channel memberships, which are new, and then $11, $12 in super thanks, and $7 in super stickers. Now, to break that down, super thanks are the ones that people can do on any uploaded video that is not a live stream. If it's just a regular uploaded video, there's a button down at the bottom where it says thank, and it's like a heart, I think, and you click that, and you can choose to leave a donation on an uploaded video. This one in particular will have that option because it's an uploaded video as opposed to a live stream. And so that allows people to donate what they want. It's one of my least frequently used options here on my channel. I occasionally get people who use it. Obviously, we didn't have anybody in July. What did we get in June? I know in just in August, we've already gotten quite a bit. So let's look at the month of June real quick. In the month of June, we had, doesn't even show me for the month of June. Maybe we didn't have any in June. I know in August we've had a couple already, or one. Super thanks, $35. That's their cut. It was a $50 super thanks on a video yesterday, and it has come out to $35 after YouTube takes their cut. Now, going back to July really quick. Oops, I clicked August. So back to July. That's kind of an overview on the totals of revenue. Now, this is where we get into how am I able to go full time based on. I think my air conditioner reset with all the power outages today. I'm getting kind of hot. How am I able to go full time? How was I able to go full time the last couple of months? That is one of those questions that comes with caveats because Chris and I bought our place in cash. We don't have a mortgage. We don't have any vehicle payments. We don't have any overhead really. We just have your basic general expenses: food, electric, gas, water, healthcare, and we have a bunch of rescue cats that are costing more than we anticipated. Um, as a result, we don't need thousands of dollars a month to pay our bills. We only need several hundred, really around 500 a month. That does vary somewhat, but around $500 a month covers all of our bills. Which means that we don't need a ton of money to live off of. That doesn't mean we don't want to make a ton of money on YouTube, but it means that we're able to have a fairly low base to grow from as opposed to other people who might need 2 or 3 years to grow their channel, as opposed to me getting monetized in February and then making the decision to go full time and then immediately being able to see that switch get flipped, so to speak, and be able to see the numbers that we have. This also is largely in part to be having a very supportive community, which I'm going to talk about here in a bit, because without the community, we wouldn't have the transaction numbers we have, and that's a big part of what has made our channel be able to make $700 to $800 a month for June and July, and hopefully in August as well. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Because if you look at the numbers for, say, July, we only did $163 in ad revenue right here, but we did $600 in transaction revenue, over $600 in transaction revenue, which means the large portion of our money is coming from our supporters, our fans. So these are people who are showing up, and most of these, because again, you can see the numbers for the month of July as an example, we only netted $12 in super thanks, which means there was only a couple of times that people did like $10 here and there on uploaded videos. The vast majority of that $617 was coming from live streams. And you can clearly see down in the transaction breakdown that the bulk of that, $527, is coming from super chats, which is when someone comes onto a live stream and they click that super chat button down there in the chat window and they choose to donate a specific amount to the stream, whether it's $2, $5, $50. We've seen quite a few across the range. I think our biggest to date has been a couple of $100 um, donations, but usually most of them are in the $15 to $20 range, I would say. We see a lot of the $15 to $20, and then quite a few of the lower than that, and then very rarely, I would say maybe 2, 3 times a month, we get a couple $100, and then $50 ones kind of munched in there. And you can actually see the breakdown even more if you want to go down into it. I can't remember if it's this one. There is a place, and I don't remember off the top of my head where you can look at it, but there is a place where you can actually break down the revenue, and look at all of the different, like how much each person has done. So you can see this person did 25, this person did 15, this person did 100, this person did 75. I don't remember exactly where that is off the top of my head. I'm not going to dig into it because it's not hugely important to our conversation, but it is just something I wanted to talk about. So, um, this is where I give a shout out to my community members and say thank you first and foremost for believing me enough to want to contribute to the channel and to support me as a full-time content creator, because you guys are literally paying for the electric, the air conditioning, the internet, and everything that I need to keep going and producing content on a regular basis. When I made the decision to go full-time in June, I was making a conscious decision to not go look for a part-time job again and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna attempt to go full-time on YouTube and see if this is even feasible or not. And we saw that it was within the first month, and so it was like, well, let's try it again and see if it was worked for July. And it worked. We made more money in July than we did in, going back to the last 28 days here. We can clearly see. Um, um, June we did 716, July we did 799 as our nets. So clearly, people are happy with the content that we're producing, and they are happy to support us with what we're doing, which I really appreciate. So this is the moment when I say, if you like what you see here today, this is when I get to do the call out and say, if you like this kind of data and you like this information, you like the streams that I do, and you like all the stuff that I do here on YouTube, support the channel. There's a super thanks button down there. It's really easy. Click $2, $5, $50, $100, $500, whatever you want to do, and it's a great way to support the channel. You can also, of course, join as a member of the Adventurers Guild down there. It's $2.99 a month, and of course, anytime I'm live, super chats and stickers and all those good things. And that's all the stuff we do here on YouTube. You can also go over to the Patreon page. Links are down there. That's kind of separate from what we're talking about, even though when we get into the net growth component of today's conversation, everything we've seen here has been net growth, and everything we've seen over there has been net growth for the past few months as well. And quite a few of you are double dipping, and that you're members here and you're super chatting here, and then you're also members over at Patreon page, which is freaking awesome. So thank you for that, everybody. So, all right, we've talked a little bit about the raw numbers, the transaction versus ad revenue. Now, here's something I want to break it down even further for you, because I want to show everybody, sort of, I know where I'm at right now, and I just talked about net growth. We're going to talk about memberships and followers and everything else as we go along. But the one thing, this is the part that I had forgot to record in the previous video, and I wanted to make sure that it was included in this, because for many people, especially if you're not going to live stream, if you're just thinking about uploading videos to YouTube, then you might not be worried about the transaction revenue, and you might only be wanting to know about the ad revenue. So I can break this down a little bit for you. So first and foremost, I could say that there are a variety of factors to the ad revenue. Before we get into this, actually, we should go back up here and talk about the RPM and CPM. So RPM stands for revenue per mil, and it tells you how much you're earning per 1,000 views. Now this calculates your transaction revenue with your advertising revenue and puts that together into that pool. Now my average is around $11 or $12, I think. I've seen it go up as high as like $20, and I've seen it be as low. When I first started out, it was like $3.50 because I didn't have anybody doing transactions when I first got monetized. And when I was first getting going, my CPM was a lot lower than it is today. Right now, my CPM is 853, and it says we're down a little bit. It says we're 10% less than previous 28 days. Um, but let's just look at this over the course of, say, let's look at the June numbers. June was 915. Um, can I go back further? I can't. So let's look at the last 90 days. So my CPM has been, say, 909. Let's go ahead and look at the entirety of 2022. Now it's going to drop quite a bit. Now if I go over here to the CPM entirely, this is when you're going to see things. So, um, in the beginning there was nothing, and then I got going, and we started off about 680, and we went up from there, and it's dropped down a couple times to like 490. But we've kind of sort of had a slow growth, um, to where we started off, say, around $6.80. I thought it was lower than that, but apparently we were a little bit higher than that. I know my RPM was lower. Let's look at the RPM. Oh yeah, my RPM used to be way down around here. Like, look at this. My RPM used to be, you know, $3 and whatever, 245. And I have raised my RPM quite a bit until it is where it is today. Looking at, say, August. Well, it's not going to calculate because, but we can look at last month. My RPM was 1313, and my CPM is 875. So those have all risen quite a bit, and this just basically says that because of transaction revenue, and also because, the videos are getting watched longer, and the click-through rates are better, and the retention rate is better, and so on and so forth, I'm making more money per $1,000 view, and I'm also getting paid a little bit more ad revenue per view. Now, my numbers aren't the same as everybody else's numbers. These could dramatically vary between other people. Like I said, I've seen my RPM be as high as 20, and I've seen it be as low as 3. So, but the average right now for me is, like, I think around 11, $12. And then my CPM is right in the $8 range, being what it is. So going back, let's go back to the, last 90 days view. See, my RPM is like $12. Well, less than $12, and then my CPM is 9. Let's go back in here though. This because what I really wanted to talk about is the green line, which is my estimated ad revenue. So that's the last 90 days. Let's just look at all of 2022 for a minute because it this is where we get into the data that shows even more. Let me move this. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to move this back over here. Um, Talking more about what all this data means. So the green bar is the one I really wanted to focus on. So when I first got monetized, I had viral videos going off the charts. And so my very first day of being monetized, I made, you know, 53, close to $60. And I had a very good run for a few days. Basically the entirety of February I had a good run, and I made, $300+ for that month. But then I immediately settled into this dip because we were moving, and so I didn't have any more viral videos. You'll see the estimated ad revenue here is like $2.16, $1.42, 280. There's some premium revenue in there, of course, but I'm looking at the estimated ad revenue, $1.50, whatever. Getting into May, I started to publish videos once again, and that number started to rise a little bit. But even throughout, excuse me, end of March, we're still moving. But some videos being published in there while I was, because I pre-recorded some stuff. Um, but going through here, you'll notice that my April stuff, my averages were, around $2 to $3 a day, pretty low. Going through her now. Once I got into end of April, this is when I got the internet turned on at my apartment. And so I was now able to start re-uploading videos again on a regular basis and starting to do some live streams throughout the day, even though I couldn't do them at night. And that's when I started to see my ad revenue going up. You also have spikes in here that are, um, which is good. But then we get into, for the most part, seeing around $5 a day. There is some low points here. We had a little bit of a low point in June. Um, um, because I didn't. You'll notice, but here's the thing. Look at how right here, when we're having the low point with the ad revenue, I'm having huge spikes in transaction revenue. And the reason for that is because rather than publishing video content, I was doing lots of live streams and doing some 12-hour live streams over those days. So naturally, my ad revenue dipped because I didn't have any published videos going live, but I was doing live streams, which means my transaction revenue went way up. So it was sort of a little bit of a trade-off. The point I'm wanting to get at is you can sort of see this green line very slowly rising until we're at where we are these days, where we're sort of I would say we're in the I don't have the final numbers in front of me right now, but we're around $5 to $6 a day in ad revenue compared to where we were in the month of say March when we were moving and we weren't doing anything and I was only getting residuals and it was like $250, 250 a day, $3 a day, which means comparatively speaking, I've gone from 250 a day in ad revenue up to say $5 a day. It's it's higher than 5, but let's just use 5 as a baseline. So I've doubled my ad revenue in basically since June and July. Um, so I'm looking at that, and it's great to see these purple lines. Those purple lines represent transactions on live streams. So you can definitely see how live streams make a big part of what I do and how the transaction revenue from live streams is what's driving um, the revenue for my channel. People support my live streams. Excellent. That means I can make a living as a full-time streamer on YouTube. Behind the scenes, however, I'm really interested from a analytical standpoint. What I really want to do is I want to be able to continue to grow my advertising revenue over time. Because if I can get that advertising revenue up to where it's around $20 a day, up from where it is now, $20 a day in advertising revenue is $600 a month in ad revenue. If I can make $600 of ad revenue per month, that means that after taxes, I'm making enough money off of ad revenue to pay for my cost of living entirely just from uploaded videos. And then everything I make from the transaction side of things for my live streams is going to be icing on the cake and money that Chris and I can put back into the savings account to build up our savings again after, having purchased the house and everything else. So, from a long-term perspective, the growth that I've seen to date has basically been about $1 per day per month, of growth in over the last few months in ad revenue. And if I can continue to see that type of growth where I'm seeing $1 per day per month growth, that doesn't actually sound the way I mean it to. What I mean is that I went up by $1 in June. I went up another dollar in July. I'm hoping to go up another dollar in August, which means that I'm making $4 a day in June. I'm making $5 a day throughout July, and I'm hoping to make $6 a day throughout the month of August. And hopefully, I'll be at a point by the end of the year where I'm clearing $10 a day in advertising revenue. If I can be at $10 a day in advertising revenue by the end of 2022, I'm going to feel very confident. I'm going to feel very good about YouTube as a full-time, long-term income source because I know it's just a matter of time before I can grow it up to bigger than that. And again, my numbers are small compared to some of these guys who are out there making, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. And, hopefully eventually I'll be at that point. But I'm not in a rush because this is paying for our cost of living at the moment, which is all I need it to do. And all the growth that happens from here, I can let it happen organically without needing to focus on being having a persona or doing something crazy. I can just be myself and it's working very well and people are reacting to it. And as you can see, we've seen the revenue grow incrementally over the past few months, which means people are resonating to the content that I'm producing. And again, thank you to all of you who are contributing because those blue spikes when I'm live streaming, this is a very fun thing to talk about too. My numbers are not very big. If we go back to the overview here on the analytics, um, looking at the last 28 days again. I have 3,829, just went up 3,830 subscribers. So I don't have huge numbers. I have 3,800 people. My growth has been averaging about 300 people per month for the past few months. And on live streams, I get an average of around 15 concurrent viewers, 15 to 20. I have a regular crowd of 20 to 30 people who regularly tune in to all of the things I stream, and there's probably 2 to 300 people who make the rotation on a monthly basis and watch my live streams. But the people who are there every single day, it's a fairly small group of about 20 to 30 people. And out of those people, a lot of you are contributing on a regular basis. I have people who are regularly giving me $100 a month and supporting my channel. And there's several people who are doing that, which is great. Now, here's another reason why I want to continue to focus on building up the advertising revenue because Subscriptions and donations are always going to be cyclical in nature. Not everyone has the same amount of disposable income on a month-to-month basis. So that number might be really high one month. August might be a crap month for others. We don't know yet. I'm hoping it won't be. It's started off very well. But you never know. I'm the same way though. Like I'll play Lord of the Rings online for 3 months, pay a subscription for 3 months, then I'll go away for 6 months and I won't play it and I won't pay for it. I'll come back and pay for it, play it again for another 3 months. But when I'm not actively playing it, I'm not actively going to pay for that subscription. So sometimes people are going to come in and be hyper focused because you're playing a game that they really enjoy, and so they'll contribute while they're watching you stream because they're getting enjoyment, and you are like you're their Netflix, you're their Hulu, you're their Disney Plus, their Paramount Plus, you are their content source, and you're their source of entertainment, and they're supporting you as a content creator, and that is amazing. But next month you might not play games that they like, or they might be busy, or they might have a kid that's sick, or they might be in between jobs. You never know. So the cyclical nature of that transaction revenue is something that you do have to keep in mind. But what I wanted to point out was I don't have huge numbers. I have 3,800 followers, the vast majority of whom do not watch me stream. The vast majority of these people are here for like the Rings of Power video. Mostly they're here for the Rings of Power videos. I'd say the vast majority of my YouTube channel is here for the Rings of Power content. And then I have a small core who are here because they've either followed me over from the previous game developer stuff or they're just following me over the years because they're my friends and they're people who just genuinely like to hang out or they're people I play MMORPGs with because we do a lot of multi streams with Nathan and Bounty and Sparrow and Kel and Maduros and all those people that we're streaming with Vendini and etc. Um, so there's crossover from that, and it's really amazing to see all that build up. And all of those numbers have been going up over time. Because remember, we're green across the board right now. So the big thing I always like to focus on is that net growth. I'm always focused on the net growth. And there's a really good way to show everybody what net growth looks like. And that's to go into the memberships here on YouTube and show you. Because remember, when I first got monetized, um, you don't get memberships right away. You just get the ad revenue, and then you get super chats and super stickers and everything else. So this graph, which you could look at right here, and we're green across the board right now, which is really good. This graph grows from, I had 2 people at the beginning of May because I just got the membership option at the beginning of May. Got monetized in February, March, April moving, got memberships, told people about memberships, boom, had a couple people come on right away. And then it has very slowly and organically ramped up over time until recently when we suddenly see these 2 huge spikes. And that's because Kantan, the psycho that he is, came in and like gifted 5 subs one day and came in the next day and gifted 5 subs the next day. And has helped boost us up. So right now we're at a total of 35 members. Active, I think we're like 30, 31. We're at 31 active members. We'd have 6 cancellations in the last day, and that's that cyclical nature of subscriptions. People are going to dip in and dip out and over the time. But net growth is what I'm always worried about. And net growth is what you see across the board here. We're seeing a net growth component to the channel for memberships, which is good because this will continue to grow as long as I'm continuing to produce content that people find amusing and entertaining. So the moment that I start to see that number dip down is when I have to start being worried about the content that I'm creating. But until that point, I know that I'm on the right track because the numbers don't lie. The numbers are there to support that people are happy with the content that I'm producing. And we're up to like $70 a month now in revenue from that pays my internet bill. Like that alone pays for my internet. So it's like, actually, I think that's more than enough for my internet because my internet is like $45 a month. So this pays my internet and a chunk of my electric bill, right? So, there's some bills paid just for memberships, which is freaking awesome. But this goes into that cyclical nature and also you can see that just the net growth. And you can see how June was sort of a slower month. It was a very, we started off in the beginning of June. We had 10 members at the beginning of June. And by the end of June, we had 16. So we got 6 people through June. We've gotten about the same, I guess, through the month of July. There's just been a little more of a ramp up. So, anyway, good numbers there across the board. Now let's go back and into the analytics, and I want to talk about something else that's very, very important, which is the content and the fact that YouTube takes 30% of your money, and a lot of people have complained about that. I do not complain about that. So people ask me, Tim, why don't you have like a YouTube donate button and have people just give you money through PayPal because PayPal doesn't take 30%. PayPal is going to take a few percent. Well, there is some logic to that. And I suppose long term, I know Dr. Disrespect and many other people have a donate button set up so that people can do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm also not against YouTube getting their cut. And here's why. If you've ever been around me for a long time, I hate Steam. I won't use Steam. I refuse to put my games in Steam, and I try very hard not to support Steam because I don't think it's fair that they charge 30% to developers when they don't do anything to help the developers. There's no marketing provided, there's no support provided whatsoever. It's just here's our platform, we're going to take 30%. YouTube is way more than that. You see all these analytical tools that I've been looking at and showing you guys? That's part of what I get for the money that YouTube is taking. Um, and the revenue split is very fair to me in my mind because YouTube also not only gives me all these cool analytical tools, but they also um, are doing a hell of a good job of actually marketing my content for me. So in the last 28 days, there have been 1.1 million impressions on my content. Almost, well, it says 59%. So 59% has been because YouTube has recommended my content to other people, either on the homepage or on a watch page, which is amazing. Now, I also have a 4.1% click rate, which is really good right now. Actually, what is the average? See, 4 to 5%. So I'm in the ballpark of I'm on the lower end of where I'd like to be. What's very interesting to me though, and we're going to get into this a little bit. Remember all the analytics that we were talking about earlier? Well, before we talk about the analytics, let's just talk about the marketing. YouTube is putting my content out there on other people's home pages that's being recommended after people watch other videos. I get a ton of traffic for my Rings of Power videos from other people watching a video and then coming through to my video. I get it's the amount of marketing that they do for me is amazing, which is one of the reasons I have no problem with them taking what they take. Plus the fact that I get all of these tools at my disposal, which help me learn things like this. So you see this 4.1% click-through rate. I've raised that quite a bit because if you go back to say June, I was at 3.4% click-through rate. So that showed me that I was kind of sucking at my thumbnail game and I needed to do something about it. So I started really focusing more on my thumbnails. And as a result, over the course of a month, I was able to raise that from 3.4 to 4.1. I'm still not there yet because I would really like to break 5%. But here's why I'm still not breaking 5%. I still do a lot of videos that don't get tons of traffic and I don't do really good thumbnails. And I'm not afraid to talk about these things with people. So here's a good example of some of my content. Like we're just going to look at it right here, right? Rings of Power video, 3,000 views. A YouTube short with a cat, 1,200 views. Another one with 900 views. These are member-only videos. A Rings of Power video for 1,100 views. But here's a Pantheon video for 300 views. But then here's my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It only got 70 views. And then here's Andor official trailer review, 84 views. Mondays in Middle Earth only 74 views. Monday Musings only 58 views. Now let's look at this one in particular. Um, let's look at these two side by side. These were both published on the same day. My Rings of Power rant, which has 3,000 views, and my Monday Musings, which has no thumbnail at all. So, by the way, thumbnail is not the only thing. The title is also very important. Title helps, so I've been really focusing more on my titles and my thumbnails. So this video has a 7% click-through rate. That's higher than the average. I'm very happy with that. Most of my Rings of Power videos are in the 7 to 10% bracket. I have a couple that are up over 11, like 11 to 13%, but most of them are like 7 to 10. I would say 8 to 10 is like an average. This is a little bit lower. Then we go over here to my Monday Musings, which is my personal vlog video. Look at that. Abysmal 1.8% click-through rate. Why is it like that? Well, for a variety of reasons. One, there's no SEO tied to this video. It's literally the title of this video is Monday Musings 74. What's the description? Oh, it's my 74th episode, and we're talking chicken hawks, lumber woes, living in the sticks, YouTube, Kickstarters, and more. There's no SEO value attached to this post. There's no good thumbnail, there's no good title, there's no keywords for people to search for, and there's no keywords in the description text. As such, this is not a video that is going to be searchable, and it's not going to be something the algorithm is going to promote out because it doesn't have anything that's going to trigger the algorithm to show that it's a worthwhile video. I produce the Monday Musings videos for my community. And so this is the curse of me still being stupid and stubborn and saying I'm still willing to put trash out like this that I know isn't going to give me the views that it could get me if I would just take a little bit of extra time and do good SEO and titling and thumbnails and everything else. And I've had people ask me, why don't you take the time? I don't have an answer for that other than I'm like, it's my personal vlog stuff. I don't really care if these get huge numbers. It's just there for the people who actively check my channel, check the Discord, and want to sit down for 45 minutes and listen to me ramble about chickens and rescue cats and travel and life and vaccinations and getting sick and all those things that happen in life, you know. So I haven't really been worried about those. But that is dragging me down. That's why, you know, if I focused on making good thumbnails, so let's go look at this one, you know. Let's look at the details. You know, we've got a good thumbnail. We've got a really uh, kind of clickbaity but also relevant description title, and then we have a description that has all of the keywords we need. We're talking about Rings of Power, we're talking about the Amazon show, we're talking about, you know, Tolkien and so on and so forth, and also all of my tags down here. We're making sure to hit all the right tags and everything else to make sure that this is going to hit all the SEO markers. That is all important, and it does factor into your video getting a good click-through rate or not. Now, I say all of this to come back to the fact that my click through rates at the beginning of June, when I wasn't worried about it, um, were down around 3.4%. And before June, they were even lower. They were down around 3.2%. And over the course of a couple of months, I have raised that from 3.2% up to 4.1. So almost a full percentile growth. Now, I have an objective with my channel to hopefully raise all of this across the board to like I would love to be at least 5%, if not 6% or greater by the end of the year. That's really hard to do. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to be shooting for it because I don't know if there's any big YouTubers that are watching this or anybody that has bigger numbers than that. I'd love to hear what your click through rates are. I have just a quick Google search we just did. It's the average is 4 to 5%, and most of the videos I've seen from content creators, it seems to be like that's a good number to be in is 4 to 5%. It's very rare for someone to have more than 5%, at least from what I understand of things. Maybe I don't understand enough, and maybe there's more data out there that I don't have access to, or maybe I'm just not educated enough on the subject. But um, I'm heavily focused, and I'm going to probably take the time in August to do more with my Monday Musings videos and try to give them more apt thumbnails. But this also has something to do too with just the algorithm picking up on my Rings of Power videos and people being naturally keyed in to want to listen to those and see those because they want more of it. And so those tend to get bigger views as opposed to my random Star Wars videos, which I like to do, and they do get some views, but they don't get as many views as I mean, I still have some of those videos which only like I was showing you, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. I reviewed that game, it only got like 70 views. A lot of people would look at that and go, that's a waste of your time. Why would you spend 3 hours playing the game and an hour cutting together a video and you put out a video, it gets 70 views. You didn't make any money off that. You made like 10 cents. Yes, but also I like to continue to do the things that I started doing with the channel before I got big. And even though I am focused more now these days on doing things for my channel that are going to generate revenue, I still want to stay true to my roots as much as I can and still continue to provide that kind of content because these are the things that I like to do and it's my personal component here on YouTube as opposed to only doing what the algorithm wants me to do. Because if I was only doing what the algorithm wanted me to do, I would do nothing but Rings of Power videos. I mean, I like some of his content, but a good example of this would be like Nerdrotic. Like I feel like that's all he does anymore is Rings of Power videos, and he gets tons of views, and he's making a shitload of money off of doing it. Why wouldn't you? I guess if that's what you want to do. That's not my shtick. I like doing lots of different things. Um, so it is what it is. Food for thought. But I wanted to sort of, talk about the the fact that YouTube does a lot of work putting your content in front of other people, and they give you a lot of tools to determine whether or not you need to be fixing your content because their data will show you if people aren't clicking through. It's either because your thumbnail sucks or your titles suck. Um, and once you've got them through and they've clicked, that's when you need to start looking at the other data, which is like let's go back to the content real quick. And the other data you're going to look at, and let's just say, where's this at? Let's look at this video. We'll go back to the analytics for this one. It's not just about whether or not a video is getting good reach. It's also, what is the performance? So the normal performance for some of my videos is somewhere around here, 800 to 590 views within the first 3 days. This video is doing way, way, way more than that, which is one of the reasons that this video is continuing to be produced, or excuse me, promoted in the algorithm, is because YouTube says, hey, more people are reacting to this video than normal. They like it, they're watching it, they're clicking through it, they're enjoying it. And also we can look at the engagement factor and see that the normal performance would be down around here 1.0 to 3 to 30.0, and we're way up. I mean, we're 250 times more, basically what it would normally be. So is the algorithm is going to naturally promote this video because they know that it's getting consumed more. So these are the things you have to look through because it's not just about is my thumbnail doing, am I getting a good click through rate? Because the click through is going to be based on your thumbnail and your title. But then you have to pay attention to um, the engagement. Something that I didn't know and didn't change until July was my I used to do my call to action at either the beginning or the end, and I didn't really ever pay attention to the engagement factor. And then I had a really good sit down with Nathan and Nathan Napalm, and he was checking me through the numbers, and we were talking about, if I'm really going to pursue this as a career, then I have to be worried about those types of things. And he showed me, and I went into the data and I looked and went, holy crap, like when I have a call to action at the beginning, I'm getting this huge drop off here. And then when I have a call to action at the beginning, I'm getting a huge drop off here. And that's affecting my engagement, which is why some of these videos aren't getting promoted in the algorithm. So then I started putting my call to action at like the 60% point through a video. And that seems to be the sweet spot. Um, because people know that you're not finished, they're going to stick around, they're going to keep watching, and I don't have the fall off anymore, which means people are now staying engaged throughout the bulk of the videos, which is a very good point. Although we're 52 minutes in, if you're still here at the end of this video, you're doing very good for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, are we almost? This is like the other video that I recorded. I got like almost an hour in, and I think I've covered most of the things I want to talk about today. There is one more thing I want to talk about though, which is the research tab. And this is something that I've started to do in July, and I think it's one of the reasons why I started to see an increase in my advertising revenue was because I started to incorporate some of this data into the videos that I was producing. Um, so research is a new thing that came out in the last couple of months that YouTube gives us access to, and it basically allows us to go in and see what our viewers are searching for. And I could see that for me, there's a lot of Lord of the Rings related stuff. Numenor, War of the Ring, Ungoliant, Tom Shippey, Oath of Fëanor. Also some tabletop stuff, Founding VTT. I don't know what Rippaverse is, or some of these other things. But the point is I can use this data and I can say, okay, people are searching for this. So I can plug these titles, I can plug these words into my titles and into the description text of my videos. And that's going to help the people who are looking for these things come to my videos because they're going to find these key phrases in the description text and in the actual titles of my videos. And I can use these to make content around these content gaps and create content that people are going to find useful and will bring them to these uploaded videos, which drives up engagement, it drives up click-through rates, it drives up the amount of money that I get paid per mil for the advertising revenue, and overall, it drives up my overall advertising um, per day rates, which is something that I'm going to be focused on more and more in August and beyond. Is using more and more of this because it did work for me in July. I saw, as you saw, we saw the I'm repeating myself a lot there. We saw a nice increase in revenue, and we're going to continue to see that um, throughout the month of August, I hope. And I'll probably do another one of these at the end of the year and just do a recap on things. But there's also something else that's very, very important. And this is something that just got announced on July 28th, which is a really cool new feature coming to YouTube. Where's my phone at? Oh, it's all the way behind me. I'm not going to go look for it. So, right now, if I want to create a YouTube short of anything, I have to either record it with the phone or I take a video like one of these and I have to put it into like whatever the hell the name of the program is that I use, cut it down, the clip, and then put it into a vertical format, and then produce that, upload it, and then it's a standalone YouTube short. It's just out there. It's just a short. Now, previously, shorts have been their own thing. It has its own feed. They're not monetized. They're just there to provide short form content, which most of mine is like cats. However, they announced on July 28th that the new feature coming to YouTube this month, and they're rolling it out to iOS and Android, is a new feature in the studio which allows you to go to any of your uploaded videos or any of your live streamed videos and cut up to a 60-second clip, and it will automatically format into a vertical format, and then you can publish that as a YouTube short. And not only is it a YouTube short, but it automatically links back to the long form piece of video content that it was pulled from, which means from a content marketing perspective, YouTube is making it even easier for us to create marketing strategies and ways for us to market our long form content because they really want, shorts has been fairly successful to them, but they want shorts to generate revenue across the entirety of the spectrum. So they obviously want that to push people back to the long form videos. This is a brilliant change coming in the pipeline. I, for one, can't wait for this to happen. And whenever I start getting data from that, I'll be looking forward to doing another one of these videos to update you all on how that's working. So we've gotten to 56 minutes. And I would just love to say, if you found this video helpful, if you found it interesting, if you found it entertaining, or all of the above, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you get all my content delivered to you. Join our Discord, links are down below. Please consider supporting me as a content creator. You can do a super thanks on this video. Any amount you want is going to be something I'm grateful for. Join as a member of the Adventurers Guild down there. And of course, if you ever see me live, and I stream every morning and every evening, drop a super thanks and a super chat. It all goes towards that transaction revenue we were talking about in the video, and it helps support me as a content creator. And here's to hopefully having August be a better month than even July and June were as we go onwards and upwards and search for that net growth. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Stay safe.